Hello, my name is Carole. Welcome to my sewing room. Today we're going to be having a look back at the 6 garments that I made over this summer using the fabric wheel. Now, if you've never met my fabric wheel before, this is a wheel that my father made me, and I change what is on the wheel and it helps me determine what project I'm going to do next. This is the end of the 3rd series this time round. The first series I did, it was fabric that was strange and I just had for years and I just kept trying to ignore. So that was great fun. Last autumn I did a series where I was using all very similar kind of sweatshirty fabrics and French terries. And this summer I mixed it up a bit and I did a pattern and fabric wheel. So I spun once for the fabric and then for the pattern. And the reason I could do that is because they were all kind of viscose challis, very similar in content, the fabric. So that worked brilliantly. Whether I'll ever be able to do that again, I very much doubt it, because I don't often have such a chunk of fabric the same. Now, so going back to last year, I did my first ever series and I thought I've chosen the best item I made from that and the best item from last series. And then I will just run down the ones that I did this time around. So the first series I did fabrics that I really didn't like the look of. And the one thing that I made from that series that I keep on wearing and was a massive surprise was this. This viscose viscose jersey, I was so frightened of making up because I really thought it was a bit in your face. But I made the New Look 6650, what I call the magic dress. And I have to say, I still wear it a lot and I absolutely love it. It just turned out brilliantly in this fabric and I never thought it would. So I thought I'd show you that. So that was my favourite from the first series. My favourite from the second series is what I'm wearing now. I don't know if you remember. This was the Mile End sweatshirt by Closet Cool Patterns. And I love it. It's got this tie detail here. And it was my favourite. And I'm almost glad that the weather's cooling off so I can start wearing it again. However, as I think I said at the time, and definitely now I've worn it a few times, I am certainly going to lengthen this for next time because it just annoys me and I find myself pulling it down all the time. I'm short, I'm only 5'2", but this is fairly cropped. And I think others have said it the same. I think looking at the pattern pieces, it wouldn't be too difficult just to extend everything. So I will definitely make this again this autumn or winter, but just, yeah, you see, I'm pulling it down now. So this was my favourite from last series. Okay, so what did I make this time round? So I started off in spring, the end of spring, wanting to make a load of summer blouses, short sleeve blouses, using all patterns that I'd never used before, had my stash for ages, never used, and obviously fabrics that I hadn't used. Well, because it kind of took me quite a long time to get going, lots of things going on, lots of holidays and things, and then we didn't have a summer in the UK, so I decided this is crazy. I haven't worn hardly any of the things I made last year, let alone this year, so I changed it to be kind of longer sleeve garments halfway through. But the first couple of things I made were short sleeved and I definitely did get them warm. So I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure the first item I made was Simplicity 8949 and it was out of this fabric. So it's this V-neck top with a gathered front there, and I just made that view there. I did like it, but I had a lot of problems with it. If I can find the video footage alongside these, I will put it in for you, or a photo. It bagged out too much on me, so what I did in the end was did a hem, and it saved it because I just put elastic in the bottom. That V-neck worked out quite well, if I remember. I just remember it being quite blousy. And I'm going to admit, I've only worn this once, mainly because of the summer, but I've only worn it once. I think I could use it going forward into autumn with a pair of jeans and maybe a navy or blue cardigan, and I've got just that blue cardigan, so I think I could get some more wear out of it. But so that was Simplicity 8949. I really did not like the construction of this. I thought the whole construction of the yoke and attaching the sleeves was horrible. I'm sure I said it at the time. I would never remake this pattern and I wouldn't recommend this pattern, but I'm quite happy with it. Number 2 was a massive success for me, and I will definitely make this top again. It was McCalls 8067, and I made this version here. I did lengthen it because again it's quite cropped, but I knew that before I made it. Slippy Slidey viscose grape I bought in this lovely green, and kind of green and cream. I love this, and I've worn it quite a bit. I've worn it with green trousers and I've worn it with white trousers, white crop trousers. I put the cream buttons on. I haven't ever changed them though. I was going to change them, as you do. But this was a really good make. Initially I wanted to make, there is a version without the, sorry, yeah, I pointed to that. I didn't make that version because that hasn't got a collar. I wanted to make that version, but I didn't think it would be right in the fabric. I felt the fabric needed a collar. So I made it up. Absolutely love that one. So that was another success. That's McCalls 8067. The next one I made was Simplicity 8920, and I made the version with the split sleeves here. Now I did a bit of research on this one, and people did warn me that those ties are ridiculously long, so I shortened the ties even before we started. I am really pleased with it. This is a beautiful fabric that I've also made a patina blouse in, but I had a good chunk left. It had a facing, but you did sew top stitch around an inch around, so it really weights it down. The tied sleeves, I was very unsure of this split sleeve, so I did make it less deep than it should have been. And I also did the ties, I made a proper tie, double-faced tie, whereas you should have just done it just so you would see the raw edge. So I didn't like that. I'm going to put a link to that video because when I did it, I actually showed how I made these ties to have a bit more of a professional finish. I do love this. I think I will wear this a lot in autumn. Again, it could be autumny colours with some blue trousers, navy trousers. I haven't worn it yet, and I'm going to admit that, but I'm looking forward to wearing that one. So that was Simplicity 8920. There is a very basic one there, which is what I was intending to do, just with gathered sleeve, into a cuff, sorry, into a cuff. So this is quite a useful pattern actually. So yeah, that was number 4. Number 3. Next one I made is, I think, my favourite. I'll come back to that. I'll make a decision at the end. This was the Ailing blouse, or Aisling, I think it's Ailing. Now I got this, it's Jennifer Lauren Handmade, and I got this free in Sewing Magazine, and that wasn't without its difficulties. Others have agreed with me that when you get it from a sewing magazine, there's always, the instructions aren't quite there in full or something, and the pattern wasn't quite there in full, but I made it up, and just, it's very simple, but it had a square neck. I'd never made a square neck before, so it's brilliant because I discovered I like square necks. And here it is. And I've worn this a few times already. I wasn't sure about the fabric initially, but I really do like it. When it's on with navy and dark trousers, it looks a lot better, less kind of glaring. You've got elasticated sleeves. Were you meant to do that? Yes, you were, because quite often I do that anyway. I wore this out the other night, out with my son and my daughter-in-law for a meal, and my son said, "Oh, you look smart, Mum. Win!" So I was very pleased with that. So I really like it. It's a really nice fit, a really nice shape on me. So this blouse I will definitely be making again. So great bargain, free pattern that you get from a sewing magazine. You can make it with a collar. Didn't want to make it with a collar. I'm quite happy as it is. So that leads me to the last two that I've actually finished this week, and I've just shown in my Friday sews last week. So this was Butterick 6632. So I won't talk about them because I've talked a lot recently about them. I'll lean her in so you can see. I really do. I love the front. I'm not so keen on the big baggy sleeves, and I took a lot of the width out of here. I should have known. I should have looked properly at the pattern piece to realise that that would happen, because I don't like it when it's all gathered around the wrist. But I did take a chunk out. It's definitely wearable. As I think I've said to people anyway, going into autumn, there'll probably be a cardigan over the top of this anyway. Good pattern. This is tricky. You know, this facing where you've got the cut down there and you've got these awful angles here. Yeah, certainly not for a beginner, and I'm glad it's a pattern fabric because it's not perfect. But yeah, that was Butterick 6632. So that just leaves one left. This was the surprise win, and it's very brave for me. But this was Butterick 6455, and I made that version there with the peplum top. Now, sorry, peplum hem and the kind of flared out sleeves in this beautiful viscose fabric. I did double line the cuff, because what happens with this design, it flops out and you see the underside of the fabric, which was white. So I can't stand that, and I knew I'd be annoyed if I didn't bother to do it, so I did. That also meant, of course, it's got a nice drape on it and it does hang a lot better. Elasticated around the neck, perfect for me because I'm quite narrow shouldered, so I could pull it up as much as I wanted. A nice peplum around the waist, which I've never made that before. Not for myself. I have made it for my daughter, but I've never worn it myself. This top for me is, as I think you all said, a real going out dinner top. Going to wear it with some white trousers on my next holiday when we go somewhere warm. I really do like it. So that's Butterick 6455. But if I'm going to say a favourite, I think because of wearability, it's going to be this, the Ailing blouse, because I really did like that neckline. I like the colour. It can look smart. It can look casual. So I think, and an indie pattern as well. And you know me, I love the big four. But this is beautiful, but won't get worn that much. But for wearability and such a good pattern, you could run it up quite quickly. Yeah, I think it's got to be the Ailing blouse, and I think it's got to be this one. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching this series. I absolutely love doing my wheel series, and I'm so glad you enjoy it too, because it just puts an element of fun into my sewing. Obviously I've got things that I want to make anyway and I know what I'm doing, but then it's nice to have a project that it's kind of decided for you and you can have a go at making, and it's using up my stash, and it's using up my stash of patterns in here. So I'm really pleased. I used 6 fabrics and I used 6 patterns that I had for a while and I'd never used before, so that was brilliant. Someone else has said as well, it injects different styles into my wardrobe, and they're right, because I do tend to play safe. So I talked about whether I do another fabric wheel series. I'm going to. I love it so much. I'm glad you're not bored with it. So I will leave it into the new year, but I will definitely do another fabric wheel. It will purely be fabric wheel, because what I've got in mind is I've got a few fabrics that are all very different, and only because they were similar this time round could I do the pattern and the fabric together. So I think it's going to have to be simple and just be the fabric. But yeah, I've got to use some of these things up. Not because I don't like them, just because they're just hanging there and they just need to be sewn. So thank you very much. I do hope you've enjoyed this little roundup of my fabric wheel for this year, and Yeah, my favourites from the last 2 series as well. Please don't forget to join me on #FridaySews. You're very welcome, and thank you again, and I will see you soon. Bye bye for now.